Recording in progress.
say it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I haven't been saying it for 40 years like some of you, so it takes me a second to had to think about it that time.
How does that start?
Yeah, I really did. Should bring my kids, they'll help me. All right, so welcome to our regular scheduled meeting, Readfield Select Board. Lost my tab. All right. First thing on the agenda is 26015, the minutes from a meeting of July 23rd and August 11th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Well, I wasn't here on the 11th for that meeting, but I was on the 23rd.
So would you like to abstain from the 11th?
Yes, please.
Perfect. You got that, Teresa?
Yep.
Excellent.
Oh, you don't have to take those trees. I was kidding. We got the video, so it'll be fun.
Okay. Item 26016, warrant 7 through 12.
Oops, I bet that's me.
It sure is.
Let me get down. That's right. Okay, so warrant 7 was in the sum of $487,941.27. Let's see, anything special of note? We paid for the fireworks for Heritage Days. We had a rather large payment to Eco Maine, $24.73. We paid for road striping, $30,115. Northeast roofing, that was for the roof here. Is that correct, Eric? No, that was the roof at the transfer station.
That's correct, yeah.
That was $8,374. Our once a month bill of $371,618 for the RSU. And the rest was all just normal expenses. So I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a
Warrant
motion.
7.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
It's unanimous. Okay, if this thing stops clicking all over the place. All right, the next one. Sorry. Warrant 9 and 10 was payroll, was in the sum of $83,033.33. And why doesn't that have the nice little sheet first? Oh, that's not fair. Okay.
Is there something missing, Catherine?
It's
Yeah,
it's in a
the
different
recap
order.
sheet.
Yeah, the recap sheet's in a different order for this one.
Oh, okay, sorry, yep.
It's okay.
Yep.
Just looking for anything special on this one.
Is that for 9 and 10?
We
you mean?
paid, we paid the assessor, his monthly fee of $2,000. We paid our monthly fee for revaluation of $2,500. We had our state fees, we had the water slide, and another blow up for the Heritage Days. That was $2,920. We did some donations from the town warrant that was approved, family violence for $1,312. Everything else is just normal expenses. So I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on warrants 9 and 10. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Take it away, Catherine, one more time.
I have another one, 11
11
and 12. Oh, and it's in the right order this time. Yay. Let's see. Challenger Teamwear was for rec. That was $3,987. Again, $2,795 for Eco Maine. The Kennebec Valley Humane Society got their, I think that's quarterly, or is it twice a year? Quarterly. That was $1,240. And again, we had the school district, $371,618. And we made several of our yearly bond payments to the US Bank Corporate Trust in Boston for $126,065. Everything else is regular expenses. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I have motion and second on warrants 11 and 12. Any further discussion?
Did I give you the amount?
538,000.
No, $568,733.43. Sorry.
No, you're good. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
And I'd just like to thank everyone for signing the Thursday warrant, which I didn't sign until Friday because 3 of you came on Thursday night and I walked in, I'm like, cool.
Okay, select board communication. Do we have anything general from the board tonight? I feel most things I want to talk about is further on our agenda, so I'll wait. Staff communication, Eric.
All right, as you saw from the warrants, we actually, this is one of those times we have about a month between meetings, so I did fit it all into one page, so just wanted to point that out, but we'll see how it goes. Start with administration, we have a staff meeting planned for Thursday, September 18th. We did have our first opportunity to use telemedicine for a possible work-related injury, and that was interesting. It was through Concentra, who's our kind of third-party medical provider, and it went well. It could have been better, and we had to kind of navigate a little bit differently than we normally do, but it worked out better for the staff and better for the town because they were able to do something right in their office without having to go half an hour into Augusta, wait an hour to get seen, and then another hour to get sorted out and get back. So it really was a constructive thing, not for every situation, but it was I think a real positive showing for having the broadband here at the office and just having that capacity. So interesting that we're able to actually start using that. Email and workspace migration is ongoing. The planning board, select board, and budget committee are all in transition. They've all been at least provided with their accounts. Not everybody's logged in, but what I'll do is give them a little while and then start logging them, saying, hey, it's time to log in and get up to speed on those accounts. Jen Worthing just finished her first year with the town, and we had a meeting to review the progress that we've made and discuss future changes. So it's been a great year. I think you all have seen that, and it was a good discussion because we talked about what we were going to do differently, how we might balance hours a little bit differently. So that was very constructive. In recent weeks, Kristen Wilcox completed 10 years of service with the town, and Teresa completed 25 years of service. I just want to take a little bit of time here to say how amazing it is to have Teresa on the staff. This is not going to last very long, don't worry. But it's not just that she's been here for 25 years. She's been just an active, engaged, leading from the side person in the office. She's been with, I think, 6 managers over her career here, I think he said.
And was acting manager for
a couple
almost a year.
Yeah. So anyway, she's been extraordinary, and it's been a great pleasure for me to work with her. And she helps keep me on track. So that's
Bill's trying to get Teresa on camera just to add it.
There she is.
Go to the microphone and say a few words.
But anyway, I just thought it was worthy of recognition.
Yes, definitely.
Could I say a couple words? Is it okay?
Yes.
Just I'll be real brief.
And
You're gonna use the microphone.
It just steps in.
Hey, I was quiet.
10 years.
I got 10 years, that's right. Yep.
So, I first met Teresa back in 2006, 2007, when I started doing various things for the town. Dave, you and I worked together too on cemetery things and all that. And I remember the look that Teresa would give me when I would come in there and be out of sync with the payment schedule or not quite right with the contractors, whatever we needed and all that, and she would just kind of, she didn't have glasses then, but she would just kind of look down like this and glare. And I thought, oh my God, this woman doesn't like me at all. So week after week, I'd go in there at the wrong time, and then finally, somebody clued me in and said, you know, these are the days that Teresa like takes appointments from minions. And once I got on that schedule, I think we hit it off okay. But honestly, Teresa, there's not many people that work within this kind of public service sector for as long as this woman has. And she has consistently given and given to the town of Readfield over and over again. And, you know, it's a pleasure to work with her. And I hope everybody else recognizes that as well, too. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks for letting me say that.
I agree. And Teresa, you had something to say about Eric, I think?
It's his 10-year anniversary as well.
Coming up. I got a few more weeks.
October 1st?
October 1st, yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
pretty significant for Readfield.
Yeah, I think it is.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we're all glad to be working together, and I think it shows. So I'll move on and say the new ACO equipment was ordered. That was to replace some that was not returned, and to add to our live trapping capacity. We now got a net for domestic birds and things, and a large trap for big dogs, so we can get things more than just like possums and raccoons. So anyway, that's a positive change there as well. Road maintenance and transfer station, we received notice of our local road assistance funds. They were 43,956, just more than the 42,000 we budgeted. So always a good position to be in, a little more. We issued a fall ditching and culvert RFP and are focusing on roadside brush management currently. The town office parking lot was painted, and that completes our pavement marking program for the year, less any spring touch-ups for crosswalks and stop bars. We're again hiring for staff at the transfer station, so if anybody knows anybody or has an interest, we are still hiring for that position. And I wanted to highlight that I attended a session on the new extended product responsibility, or EPR law, which requires manufacturers to pay a premium for non-recyclable materials, packaging materials, and that through that state program, the funds get put into a fund and then distributed back to municipalities based on how much we recycle. And that's going to be stood up pretty fully starting April, May, June of next year. So it's an opportunity for us to capitalize on what we do well, because we have a well-run facility, we recycle a fair amount. And this is just another way to get revenue in without really doing much different. And if we want to get creative and start, recycling PVC or something, we could try that. But I think to start, I'm just interested in getting that check for doing what we already do. And then Sunday summer hours are currently being extended, and we'll talk more about that later.
I'm excited to hear that.
So that's my town manager's report. It's been a busy month, but I kind of summarized.
Any questions for Eric?
No, another month of a job well done. Thank you, Eric.
No problem. Moving on to the treasurer's report, check reconciliations complete for the month of August. Everything looked good except for one unusual exception. We have about $1 balance adjustment that needs to be made. Teresa spent more than $1's worth of time trying to figure it out. and so we're just gonna call that and make an adjustment. So hopefully that'll be reconciled by the time you see the next month's balances. Investments, CDARs have been reviewed and we're being actively managed. We do have some more money that's going to be put in. Rates are holding a little bit better than I thought they would. They're still around 4%. If you have a new investment, it's about 4.25%. So we might be able to put a little bit of money in at a higher rate, maybe 250,000. But in any event, we're continuing to reinvest what we have. And then audit, our auditor has a view-only account for Trio now, and reported that to the board, but I wanted to make sure the public knew. Because what that does is two things. It gives them a bit more transparency into what we're doing on a daily basis if they choose to look, but also it makes the audit process much more efficient and effective, because instead of us trying to explain something and try to export reports and this and that, they can actually just go in and see what's on the books. So that's a positive thing in a couple different areas. The report covers the month of August, and revenues and expenses should be about 17%. They're not far off. We are continuing to see some fluctuations in the first few months of the year. That's not unexpected. Let's see, our checking account balance has moved around a bit too with respect to the CDARs, which I mentioned earlier. Anytime money kind of flows out of one of those, if it's an Androscoggin Bank investment, it lands back in the checking account, and that can make a big boost of $250,000, $500,000. But conversely, once it gets reinvested, it disappears and goes back into that investment account. So you'll see some variability there. Real estate payments are below expected levels for the month and the year to date. I'm not quite sure what's up with that, but we'll see where things land in October, or September, excuse me. It might normalize. Sometimes it's just a matter of the schedule and how people are paying. Let's see, last thing here. Motor vehicle revenues are down for the month, but up for the year to date. And transfer station receipts are up pretty significantly this year. But I think that has a lot to do with collection last summer when we were short-staffed and things weren't operating 100%. So total receipts are down slightly for the year and the month, but nothing extraordinary. So overall, a few little nuances, but things are looking pretty good.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric? Thank you. Karen, do you mind giving us the Sexton report?
No, not at all. I appreciate you not making me wait too long either. You know how I get cranky.
I can't say
Anyways,
yes.
I put together a brief report for you folks in terms of what's been taking place. Is we've seen that we've been active with burials, but I'd say compared to past years at the same time, we're down a little bit, which is a good thing. People are living longer.
Yeah.
So that's good. We've had, let's see, I believe it's 6 burials in all, and they've been in all of the active cemeteries. Which means Kents Hill, East Readfield, and Readfield Corner cemeteries. We've had some plot sales too, lot, depending on how you define that. We've had a few of those as well too, so that brings in additional revenue for the town. We've got some what I call pending sales, and that basically means I have to get the paperwork put together and send to the people, and then they can take care of paying for that. We've begun with different stone repairs. In particular, this year, we're focusing on the old section in Readfield Corner Cemetery. And those repairs are being done by Collect Monuments, who we've worked with over the years from time to time to do things. So I met with them, maybe a month ago, and we identified a lot of the stones that needed work, and they've already gone in there and done most, if not all, of the work. They haven't called me yet to say all, but I went there this afternoon to check, and it looked like almost everything had been done. We're undergoing this year, we're doing some stone cleaning in East Readfield Cemetery. And we're using this group, actually it's two ladies who have formed this company, and they're called Forget Me Not. And they specialize in a lot of stone cleaning. And they use biocide agents. They don't use pressure washing. Because the older stones, the marble and things like that, if you use too much pressure washing on them, it really degrades the marble and destroys the stones over time. So anyway, so they use this biocide agent, which is also relatively, well, you wouldn't want to sit there and drink a gallon, but it's relatively harmless that way, non-toxic. And so we're focusing on that. And part of the reason why we're doing East Readfield too is I'm preparing a proposal for the Ramsdale Fifield Fund that is administered by the Readfield United Methodist Church. It's not a town, obviously not a town entity for that. But that fund was set up by a family that is buried there in East Readfield Cemetery. And they had, in my opinion, the foresight to look forward and say, you know, a lot of people can't tend stones the way we can. We don't have, their families may not be as well off, let's put it that way. So they left quite an endowment to the church to spend in that particular cemetery. And we've partnered with the church a couple times in the past since I've been the sexton, not just this time, but in the past as well. And they've helped us cost share with that. So I think that this is going to be another opportunity. I've talked to a couple of the members of the committee that oversee that fund, and they're very receptive. So that'll be, you know, I can fill you in more on that as things go on. And then the other thing that we're planning to do is Whittier Cemetery, which is that little bitty family cemetery off Beaver Dam, South Road, that kind of intersection that it's basically, I mean, hasn't been used in well over 100 years. But the town now has responsibility for that cemetery, and there are some sunken graves in there. So some volunteers and I are going to go there next week, weather permitting. Let's hope it rains at some point. And take care of filling in those graves, filling those sunken graves in, and get that back up to snuff. And that pretty much is the report. Of course, we took care of the flags. I say the members of the cemetery committee took care of the flags for Memorial Day. And I've been going around, and as things have become, if any flags are tattered, I've been replacing those as need be. And that will be done right through Veterans Day of this year as our town policy requires.
Any questions for Karen?
Great. Thanks for the support too.
Thanks for all the work.
Appreciate it.
Great to hear from you.
One of these days we'll take a cemetery tour. Before you all.
That'd be great. We've talked about doing it sort of with photos too. So maybe Rebecca and I can work on that before
It's
a whole
cold.
lot of time goes by.
Yeah.
Very non-committal.
Next on the agenda, we have boards, committees, commissions, and departments. So thank you, Age Friendly Committee, Board of Assessors, Cemetery Committee, Open Space Working Group, and Planning Board for submitting your minutes. If it pleases the board, I wondered if we could take 26017 out of order and look at the appointment of Micah Smith to the Road Committee at this point.
Be great.
No, you don't want to? You don't want to do it now? Micah, do you mind stepping up to the podium? Yeah. If you can just tell us a brief bit about you, there's plenty in this packet for us, but that'd be great.
First of all, thank you guys for having me here. I mulled this over for a couple of days and talked to a couple of friends, and I was really impressed with the town. I've only interacted with a few of you here, Miss Karen and Miss Catherine. And I remember you when I first got in, when I first registered my vehicle and came to town after I purchased the home on Pea Ridge. As I stated, I live on Pea Ridge next to Miss Samantha Horn and Mr. Dennis. I recently moved here from Charleston, South Carolina. I previously worked for a company called SAIC, which is a defense contractor where I was an engineering tech, and I installed GPS satellite and radio for JLTVs on the Marine and the US Air Force side. Prior to that, I used to work for the executive branch. I was an aviation safety assistant for the Anchorage office in Anchorage, Alaska, for the FAA. Prior to that, I worked for the Department of Veteran Affairs on the VHA side, not the VBA side. Prior to my employment with the executive branch in both of those departments, I was in undergrad. I went to AIU, where I studied and majored in business administration, And then I went on to grad school at the University of Alaska Anchorage, where I took up my project engineering and Arctic engineering at the same time. On May 5th, I took my PE exam. I passed it on the first go round. And I think it was like May the 7th, I was inducted into the Order of the Engineer. Basically, like I said, this is new for me. I've done a lot in my lifetime. Currently I do work for a company here in Augusta, Georgia. Augusta, Georgia, that's where I'm from. I'm born there.
That's a commute.
Yes, I got a flashback. So in Augusta, Maine, I work for Kennebec Technologies, where I work in metrology quality control. I did attend the ATDM school that's funded by the Department of the Navy over in Danville, Virginia. And after those 16 weeks of rigorous training, I was recruited by Kennebec. And I came here in January, about January the 13th. And I decided this is where I wanted to be. And here I am.
Awesome.
That's
I think you're qualified.
You're a little overqualified potentially, but we're very happy to have you. And the road committee would be quite lucky to have you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I would make a motion to appoint Micah Smith to the road committee effective this evening through June 30th of 2028.
Second, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you don't have to stay any longer.
I don't mind staying.
Okay. That's fine.
Seymour.
Next, we have an update from the Open Space Committee. Bruce.
How are you?
Great.
Boy, I love it when you volunteers come to town and just jump right in.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? This is just my quarterly update. I give these to you verbally when I can unfold the paper. And you get our minutes all the time. So it's not too much new on that. But I will tell you what we've been working on in the last quarter. And our appointment runs through the end of October. So this is kind of like the last.
Penultimate message.
What's that?
A penultimate message.
No, this is it. In any case, so I'll give you my report here. We're really close to having a draft release of the report, and that would be the one that the public would have in order to comment on at a public hearing, which will be held on October 27th. We've got a few refinement edits. I know our last minutes actually said that they would be available to the select board tonight, but we're actually doing that final edit tomorrow night. And so then we'll be able to get that out to, we'll just email that directly to you, and then we'll work on getting it posted as well. The draft will be posted, as we said, with the goal is to have at least 30 days before the public hearing so that people can take a look at it and make comments. And we'll probably, since the public hearing is on October 27th, which is a Monday, and opposite of a select board meeting, so it's kind of an open date. Because we're doing it, tomorrow night, we'll probably have that up for 35, 36, 37 days or whatever. Still to happen is we are making a one-page summary of that document that's easily readable and digestible. And I do caution the public that that is not a replacement for understanding the entire report, but it is a thumbnail fact sheet, if you will, that can direct you to the report. But for somebody that just wants to take a look at it on a quick basis, it's a good way of doing that. So we'll actually have two documents, 1 or 2 page executive overview, abstract, fact check, whatever you want to call it. But again, the main report, which is running at 28 pages, which is not all that bad, I don't think, in regards to how verbose we can get. The public hearing is on the town calendar now, and we want to robustly promote it. So there'll be an article in the October Messenger. I think we were slated to have one in the September Messenger, but that arrangement came after the deadline for that particular issue, so we're not there. We want to do some blast email using the town system. I'm perfectly willing, or some member of the open space working group is willing to do a promo taping for the FM station, or if you want to do a Q&A call-in, that would be fine too. We'll certainly promote it on the town website, Facebook, and tonight I'm open to suggestions from you if you have additional ones. I'm all ears, and at the end of this report, you can make additional suggestions. I do want to state that outside the public hearing, we'll probably have a meeting in October, and there'll be comment period at that meeting. We robustly promote that as well, because everybody might not be able to make that particular public hearing. And responses, once that report is out there, from anybody in writing through the town website or directly by email to me, or stopping me at the post office and beating up on me, or whatever you want to do, or any other member of the committee, is really welcome. We, anytime we can get some feedback, that would be very good. And then again, like I said, if you want to do an FM call-in show or whatever, I don't know what the reach of that would be, but we've got to try doing some of these different things. The final non-draft presentation to the select board following the adjustments in the report that would be in consideration of what we might hear from this feedback and from the public hearing and elsewhere would take place at either your 1st or 2nd November select board meeting. I think November 3rd is your first one, but of course you juggle agendas and what you have for different reports and so forth. So I'll be available at any of those, and actually we'll be encouraging our group members to also attend in case you have questions for any of them. That's it for my report. I do have a closing comment myself. Did anybody have any suggestions on the promotion work that we're trying to do?
I think that sounds great. And I think putting something on the FM station is good. Did you say a call-in show?
Well, I would do a call-in half hour or something like that if somebody wanted to do that. I don't know technically if we can do that, but we could also certainly take in written questions or email questions, and those could be answered. Obviously, the public hearing itself is a very good forum for that kind of feedback, but I just want to make sure we open all the avenues that we can.
I think having a summary ad kind of radio show would be good, and that way, if anybody's listening to the FM station, it's available to them. If they're not, oh well. We do the best we can.
We can promote that with an email in advance.
Great.
It's going to be on whatever day, and then you can rerun it if you like the sound of my voice, or you like the answer, or you can erase it. I do have a closing comment on the fairgrounds project. I do know you're going to be discussing that tonight. I'm personally very supportive of the fairgrounds project, but I would ask you not to repurpose the open space fund for any purpose in regards to the fairground project. I think that wasn't the purpose that people had in mind when they voted for open space. And I also think it's probably not what they had in mind when they supported the no municipal funds being placed into the project at the fairgrounds. I'm completely supportive of what we're doing at the fairgrounds. I know you have some hard issues to deal with, and I'm probably kind of protecting my own corner here, but I don't have control of the open space fund, nor were we making major recommendations on very specific uses of it. But we do think its purpose and use in the next few years will probably arise, and I think you should keep it for the purpose intended. I do know that there's, from looking at the document that created that there's infrastructure improvements or property improvements that can be made to existing open spaces, but I don't think it was intentional in voters' minds that was for major infrastructure. I think it was for perhaps, building an access point for a little pull-out parking or or something to mitigate a habitat area's problem, if you will, or to put towards conservation needs. So that's just a little speech, and I hope you'll take it in the spirit it's offered, but I don't think you should use that fund. Thanks.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.
Last part of our communications before we go to our audit review is public communication. Is there anybody here to speak on matters not on the agenda or online? Then we are right on target time, and I'm guessing Kevin is our.
Kevin Edwards, yes, he's
Yeah.
our representative from RHR Smith, in our audit company. And Kevin, I believe, has a presentation that Bill could perhaps prepare to do some screen share. But Kevin, why don't you tell us if you need that or if you're going to run from something else?
I do have that.
Have we met Kevin before?
I'm not sure we have. We normally Ron comes and presents, but Kevin's the guy that we have worked with recently in the office, and so I'm happy to have him here.
Great.
Ron had a prior commitment.
That's okay. Didn't we have a woman present once a couple years ago? A PowerPoint?
Yes, we did.
That was,
Yeah.
I remember that was really useful, I think.
Can you see that?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's small.
It's-
Oh,
It's in presenter view, not, we're seeing presenter view, not the presentation.
Gotcha.
This, the presentation, unless it's been modified, is also available in the select board packet for anybody that wants to take a look at that. Okay. I'll just preface this by saying that we included the presentation, but also the management letter, which summarizes the findings of the auditor, which basically said, they can't check everything, but they didn't see anything that was out of the ordinary. It couldn't be justified through policy or
There you
action
go.
by the board. So
Sorry about that.
yeah.
no, you got it.
So go ahead, Kevin.
So I'm Kevin Edwards. Like he said, I was the audit manager for 2024. We were hired to perform an audit and render an opinion on the town's financials as of 6/30/24. I'm pleased to announce that you had an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion available. In the financial statements, a great snapshot of the year can be found on page 5. This is the statement of net position, which begins on page 8. We will see total assets for the town was 24,493,728 in 2024, which is an increase of 420,695 from previous year. Cash and investments totaled 3,772,372, a decrease of 172,000 from 2023. Net capital assets is 20,516,900 in 2024, which is an increase of 345,000. This represents 84% of your total assets in the town. As seen on this page of the balance sheet, you can see the general fund, which increased by 53,522. Cash and investment balances make up 89% of this at 3,296,000. General fund liabilities increased by 142,000 to 1.689305. General fund balance decreased by 89,307 from the previous year. It's now at 1.8702 208 for this year. This covers 23% of annual expenditures, a little under 3 months based on the 2024 budget. Total revenues for the year was 7,037,402, which is an increase of 51,948 for the previous year. And total general fund expenditures was 7,126,000, which was an increase of 120,000, 2% from the previous year. Your largest expense was the education payments to the school department.
Well, there's a surprise.
You also had one new bond and one new lease for a truck in 2024.
Thank you, Dave.
And like it was said before, management letter comments, there were no management letter comments in 2024. So that is a great thing. And that is all I got. Do you guys have any questions?
I have one. It's Catherine Woodson. We had instituted a new, Eric's gonna help me out here, schedule of accounts.
Yep.
The capital reserve policy.
Yep.
Right. And did that work out okay?
Yes, that's working perfectly as it should.
Okay, and you're pleased with that because I know that was a suggestion you had made in a previous year that we instituted.
Yes. Yes, I was very happy with the change from the previous year to last 2024. Yes.
Great.
And Kevin, I can't recall, did we discussed that in general, but was there still a feeling that we probably had more accounts than we needed, that we might want to look at consolidating, or I'm trying to recall that discussion.
I'm trying to recall that as well. I'm not 100% sure,
All right.
but I'll get a better idea when I come back in for 2025 and we can look at that.
Talk about that again, but I mean, I know we did go through it in pretty good detail, so yeah, look forward to that again.
Yep.
Coming up shortly here.
Yep.
And in terms of our reserve balance too, we've had conversations over the years about where we're sitting in terms of that 3/12 and such.
212.
We,
2/12.
well,
That's what it was supposed to be.
but you were, I think, did you just say we were almost at 3/12? Is that what you alluded to there? I was,
About 3.
Yeah, you were just under the 3-month threshold.
so we're still over
Which is good.
the target goal.
It's changing quickly.
Is it?
It is, yeah, yeah. And that's something that we'll be, going through with this coming year's audit, because we have been drawing down faster than we've had money going in. So we will see a change this year, and then this coming budget year is going to be interesting as well. But that's budgeting, not auditing. So.
Well, I think that's fantastic news that we got whatever that designation was that I can't remember. What is it called again?
It was the unmodified opinion.
Unmodified
Yep.
opinion.
Opinion. Yep.
So congratulations would go to Eric and Teresa on their financial management of the town.
Correct. Yes.
Congratulations, Eric and Teresa, from at least this select board member. This is great news.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for joining us and putting this together for us, and I guess we'll see you again soon.
Okay. Thank you.
25. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you coming on short notice.
Thanks.
Now you're 20 minutes ahead of schedule.
Loving it. Okay, so next. Next item on our agenda is, well, actually, if it's okay with the board, I think I see another bunch of people sitting here waiting for 26-023, discuss community support for the Neighbors Driving Neighbors program. Is that correct?
Yes, and Joe Austin.
Yeah, the executive director, I invited him to answer any questions the board had.
All right, we're just gonna continue
So
on
we can
as
do it
noted
when he
then.
gets here.
Okay, so we need to go.
They
through-
came early, Sean. They could sit through it.
They wanted to hear our exciting meeting.
I was trying. I tried. All right. Okay, so the select board will hold a public hearing to consider amendments of the general assistance order is next on our agenda. So I open that public hearing now. Does anybody have anything to add on our general assistance order? Seeing nothing in the room and nothing online, I'm going to close our public hearing on our general assistance order and appendices. We don't need to make any motion on that, Eric, do we?
Not on
We don't
the,
have any,
the motion comes next.
yeah,
We just have to consider it now.
right. 26-018, consider revisions to the general assistance order and its appendices.
So I put that full description in as a placeholder. The ordinance itself actually is not being updated. We approved a modified ordinance last year from Maine Municipal Association. They'll probably release some updates. We've been having to update it more given the dramatic changes that we've seen in the state of Maine with the amount of assistance and where it's going. Between different municipalities and different groups of folks in need. And long story short, we're okay. We don't have to amend the ordinance. We just need to amend the appendices. And those are all included in the packet. We have appendices A through H, and also a summary sheet to start it off. And there have been increases as expected in virtually every category. And these are recommendations that come from a collaboration between the state of Maine and the Welfare Directors Association and Maine Municipal Association. So all three together worked with data and economic information to set those new standards. And at this point, I'd recommend the board approve those modified appendices A through H.
I'll make a motion to approve the modified appendices for the general assistance maximums as presented.
Second. I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? In the packet, what we have to sign says the appendices are A through G.
Yes, so I did, that also, it's not, that's kind of a placeholder as well. So I modified the form so it doesn't say about the top, it's been modified to be correct. So I have A through H on the actual signature page. So good catch, Sean.
Think I'm never paying attention.
Do we need the motion to also authorize signing it?
I don't think so. I think just
Okay.
accepting it's sufficient. Yeah.
Perfect.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, well, next is 26-019, our fiscal year 26-27 calendar. Scariest calendar I look at every year.
I love it.
I love it. I just, the fear is in the volume of work entails inside its meeting.
So I'll just run on that one really quick and say that this is similar to past years, and actually in many cases, it's only one day different when you move the calendar back because of that shift. We still have budget committee meetings scheduled on Wednesday evenings. We still have select board meetings scheduled on Mondays. And we have very similar placement of action items and review through the course of that budget process. The one big change that was made as a result of last year, in May, we are not holding two separate public hearings for the final budget information.
Excellent.
We had actually canceled that second one this last year because of lack of engagement or just people were pretty well educated, I'll put it that way. And so that's the only really notable change. I will also say that I've requested confirmation from the school board about the dates for the joint meeting with the select board and the date for the preliminary vote where the school budget is actually passed. They're busy.
They're busy.
They're
yeah,
busy.
Yeah.
So I expect they'll take a couple weeks to get that information back, but we do have placeholders in there. That's dead reckoning on when those will be, but those may change, but we've got time to adapt to that. And outside of that, I'm just excited to get this moving. I think we're in a good position. We're going to have some, I think, more involved discussions about capital and some of those items than we've had in the past. And probably some on budget, regular budget lines as well. So it won't be an ordinary year, but really there never is one. So I appreciate the board's patience and willingness to take a look at this schedule and not leave. So anybody else that's involved. So that's it really. I think we're in pretty good shape. If the
Excellent.
board approves this, I can move it along to the budget committee and public posting.
Entertain a motion to approve this
I have
schedule.
a question and then I'll make a motion. Eric, in the recent email that came out about the revaluation that's taking place, not in this budget calendar, but in the next one, is that correct?
Yes, so the actual impacts on what people pay out of pocket will be in starting in 2027.
So that will be this budget that we're looking at?
Will not. However, we want to plan for what might be happening in the future and try to, in my opinion, again, as I said in that email, I'd like to try to stabilize the next budget cycle as much as we possibly can to keep it an even keel. That might mean that we have to make adjustments this year to kind of accommodate that, perhaps spend more money and have, but perhaps spend less. I mean, it all depends.
So that'll be the fiscal 28 budget where it's effective.
Correct, 27,
Okay.
28, yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just useful that we all remember that we want to start considering those impacts in this budget cycle. So
Yeah.
that we can mitigate some things maybe over a 2-year period rather than trying to do something in a 1-year stretch.
That's a great way to put it, better than saying spend more or spend less.
Spread around.
Words matter, right? So.
I would make a motion to accept the fiscal year 27 budget and warrant process schedule as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next, I'm just going in order now because
We
every
have,
time.
I think everyone here now for neighbors driving neighbors. Want to do that now?
Yep. 26-023, discuss community support for the Neighbors Driving Neighbors program. Eric, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I'll just say that I provided a memo to the select board summarizing the history of the program, which I will summarize even further by saying that about 2 years ago, we began working with Neighbors Driving Neighbors in order to help provide transportation to folks in town that don't drive. So that would be senior citizens as a primary group, but also anybody else that may have issues that prevent them from driving. And we found that relationship to be quite valuable. However, we're finding that our level of engagement and particularly financial commitment isn't keeping pace with our utilization of that service. And we're in jeopardy of potentially not being able to continue in the future unless we take a few steps to try to generate more revenue and perhaps some more interest and engagement from the public. Rebecca is the kind of liaison from the board to that group, and so thanks for helping out. And we have a great team with this. This came to town because of, in large part, the age-friendly group, and we have a few representatives from that group here today as well. So it really is a partnership, and one thing I kind of identified and focused on in my memo is that, or at least in my letter, is that this is an essential, in my view, community service, and it fits very closely with our goals, comprehensive plan goals, our identity as a town that supports our older residents. And so I think it's important enough that I've tried to put some effort into bringing this forward to the board to consider a number of different approaches to try to stabilize things. And that's really what I have to say for now. And I guess it'd probably be good to hear other people's thoughts and opinions on what we might need to do in order to get this back on track.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Who would like to speak first from?
I don't mind going first.
Thank you, Jen.
Just makes me such a joke in there.
Well, that's not good. Was that an after Heritage Days event?
Yes, that was like a very end of my vacation event. But I'm on my vacation in, so. I work for the town and the community programming coordinator. I work with the age-friendly committee on a lot of things, and so this new problem we are trying to solve. Unfortunately, Readfield is not carrying its weight in funds or workload for Neighbors Driving Neighbors. I think we take up like 24% of the requests for drives for all of Neighbors Driving Neighbors, and that's like 6 towns. The program provides important support to people that need a ride to appointments, pick up prescriptions, groceries, and other needs. Along with these necessary things, these rides also provide quality of life through social needs. This program makes it possible to get haircuts, go shopping for themselves and loved ones, and attend social gatherings. Isolation is a unique and serious problem, and it takes programs like these to make sure people do not get stuck or forgotten. Social isolation is associated with higher risks for heart disease, depression, and cognitive decline. It can lead to feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and increased anxiety. Isolated seniors are more likely to experience premature death and have a weakened immune response. Lack of social engagement can lead to decreased physical activity, increasing the risk of falls and mobility issues. We try to combat isolation here in Readfield with programs like our community cafe, our Readfield U month-long march programs, and other various engagement opportunities. But to get the benefit of these events, you have to be able to attend the events. And so that's where Neighbors Driving Neighbors comes in, very important. What is our plan with Age Friendly to combat this problem? We spread awareness at our community cafe that we hold every Thursday morning at Marina Creek Middle School. That is starting up again this week. It serves as a community talking forum for all of us, and I think it also serves a lot of the people that need the Neighbors Driving Neighbors program. So for them to know that the program exists, and also for them to know about the problems we have, they can reach out to family members and friends, and then hopefully recruit others. We are holding a volunteer fair on October 11th. This fair will be a chance for local committees, clubs, and organizations to highlight the services they provide for the community and give the public a chance to find out how they can help and get involved in the programs of their interest. We will be talking about Neighbors Driving Neighbors at our age-friendly table, spreading awareness and specifically asking for drivers, which is one of our biggest needs right now. Also, we are planning a pie sale, or I like it to be more of a pie auction, for mid-November to raise more funds for Neighbors Driving Neighbors. It's going to be a fundraiser specifically for them. We are going to auction off pies, hopefully from a few local celebrities, and hopefully get some high tickets on some pies right before Thanksgiving. Funding from our age-friendly reserves really is important to keeping this program going. I hope that it can be approved tonight. I think the importance of it is pretty obvious for us all, and yeah, that's kind of my spiel.
Thank you, Jen.
Sure.
Any questions for Jen from the board?
No, that was great.
Thank you.
Is there someone from Neighbors Driving Neighbors that would like to address us? I have some questions, so that's why I'm glad you're going up.
So I'm Shelley Fitzgerald. I'm the current president of Neighbors Driving Neighbors. And I was one of the original founders back in 2014, before we gave our first ride in 2015. So a lot of the institutional memory is in here.
Yeah, I'm Joe Austin. I'm the executive director. I'm one of 2 part-time employees. Everybody else is volunteer, and I've been almost 4 years now doing this. And rather than give our standard spiel, which we just had a good, we could just answer questions that you have and try to bring light to it.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Well, we had a suggested donation amount that we could make of $2,000, and I'm wondering what is the contribution that's being made by the other, there are 6 towns in total, right? The other 5 towns, what are they contributing as a town as opposed to donation?
This year, Rome gave us $1,000 without solicitation, and Fayette gave us $1,000, again, just with an ask. Next year, during the budget cycles, we'll be asking the other towns as well to finally make a contribution. Until this year, we have not received any funding from the towns. We don't get any federal, state, or local funding. We raise it from the communities. And that's why having an active, engaged donor list in a community, that's what happened. The first 5 towns, as we planned, the board members from those towns created a list of people they thought would care about this service. And that's how we started our first annual appeals. And that continues to be, one way we make a lot of our, the money for the program as well. We get about 35,000, or we hope to get about 35,000 in grants, and that's not going well this year because of all of the government changes. Every other nonprofit is also looking for money. So the competition has gotten crazy fierce out there. And that's why we're turning to the towns and really trying to see if we can get Readfield to come on board and get more engaged with us.
Is Readfield the largest town by population, or would that be Belgrade?
No, Readfield is.
Actually, Belgrade is what I've got for population the last time I looked. Belgrade is the highest and Readfield is second, but it always kind of depends on where you pull those statistics from. So I don't want to,
Right.
But you're up there. And I think, as Shelley said, what we're really looking for is to expand that donor base too.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the way we came into Readfield, we didn't have that initial start to do that. So we really ideally in the future want to expand that base. And what happens is the more it gets used, the more people know about it, the more they want to contribute. But we put the cart a little bit before the horse, if you will, and started providing the service before we had the knowledge among the community to do that. And so now we're at a hard point, particularly as Shelley mentioned, with it getting more difficult to raise money through grant funding.
We're not getting great penetration. We don't have tons of active Readfield riders. So yes, of course, we would love your money, but we would also like to be providing a more robust service, because it seems unlikely that you would have so many fewer seniors or people who don't drive, that don't require the service than other towns. So we need greater penetration to be able to meet your needs as well.
One of the things that happens that makes that difficult is that without a program like ours, people either find a way to get by with other family members or friends, or they just don't go anywhere, but nobody knows about those people. They don't know much about them. What happens is those family members, those friends get tired, they get used up. And what our program provides is that backup and that fairness. Plus we have, as Shelley articulated it, and just recently, we have people that don't want to call their neighbors or their family because they don't want to burden them. But if they can call us It may still be their family or their neighbor that's providing the ride, but they don't have to do that ask. So we provide that buffer that makes it safer and easier for them to call. And that's how we get more riders. And we need more drivers too. We've got a good cadre of drivers, but we need to expand it. Because all of our drivers are in their 60s and 70s, and they're gonna age out. And so we constantly need to replenish our drivers.
The other, we talked about people staying at home and we might not know about them. But what started this program was when Dan Onion, our founder, recognized that the woman who started the food bank in Mount Vernon had to move to Augusta because she couldn't get shopping, she couldn't get prescriptions, she couldn't get to the doctor. And she finally said, I just can't live in this community that I love anymore. And that really made Dan Onion realize we have to do something about that. Here's this valuable community member, you know, and she's got to move because we can't get her where she needs to go. So, other questions?
I need to learn a little more as well. And that's my own fault. I should learn. I think it's a great thing that you're doing, by the way. I just want to, so do you have like a dispatch service? Is that how it works? So if somebody needs a ride, they call you essentially, right?
They call our number. First of all, any rider, we do an intake session with. So we go to their house, we explain the program, we get all of their information, and they sign an agreement with us. And we ask them to give us 5 days advance notice for their ride. So this isn't like an Uber or taxi service. But most of the people have doctor's appointments they know that are well in advance. They call our number, they tell us where, when, what time they need to go. And then what we do is put that in a computer system. We have a fairly sophisticated program that allows us to track our rides and organize our rides. We put that in and then send an email out to all of our drivers. And it'll have that ride plus any other rides that are unfilled. Our drivers look at that and they pick rides they want. They aren't forced to take any rides. But they'll say, oh, there's Susan Johnson. I know her, I could take her. Or that looks like a drive I'm gonna be taking to get groceries, I could take that person. So whatever their reason, they pick up that ride. We call the rider back and tell them that Shelley is gonna be their driver. The day before the ride, Shelley calls them and does 2 things. One, she verifies that the ride is still on, because some of the people get confused with their appointments. And so we kind of help them with that. And she checks to make sure everybody's okay in the house and healthy, because we try to keep people healthy. And then the day of the ride, she picks them up, she takes them to the appointment, waits for them, and brings them home. And if it's a long appointment, we have people that are going in for dialysis. It takes 4 hours. We'll use 2 drivers, one to get them there and one to get them home. That's all done through calling our office. We aren't there to answer the phone, so it goes to the answering machine. We pick those up. They get transcribed into email to us, and we're able to use the system that way. So long answer to a short question.
No, well, that was actually my second question, that there was some way that you set it all up and kind of verified your rides, like the average person doesn't just call and go, I'm really drunk at the bar. You know,
Exactly.
So I was wondering how there must be some kind of a process there.
And
So that's great. And I think it's important that people know how the process works.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that there are times when somebody will have a last minute need, and they'll call us and say, I've got to be there in 2 days. You know, if they're an established rider, and we understand that, we understand some people have no backup. So we're it. We can put out an urgent message, and quite often we'll be able to find a driver who can get them there. It just takes a little bit more legwork. All of our drivers can also go online into the system, and they can pick up rides in advance before I send the email. So we have some drivers who are the real organized people who pick up rides a month from now. And then we've got other drivers who don't want to commit until they know they're not going to be doing anything on Wednesday. And they'll sign up at the last minute. All of our drivers are, we do background checks. We get references from people who have ridden with them, and they go through a 90-minute orientation session, which, and we, knock on wood, we really haven't had any major problems. We haven't had accidents. We haven't had, once in a while, weird things happen. Like somebody will forget their appointment or they'll get it on the wrong date. But, and the last thing I'll say, because we could talk about this forever, both the riders and the drivers love the program. The riders are forever thankful to us. They're very grateful. Some of them send us checks. It's absolutely free. They sign on the agreement when they sign it. There's no expectation, or they will not be asked for money. But some of them who have the means send us checks, or they'll give a $10 bill to the driver who will put it in one of our envelopes and give it to us. The drivers love it. It gives them a chance to get out of the house. They love meeting people. And we have some drivers who drive 5 times a week, and we have some drivers who drive once a month. You get to choose what you want to do. And if anybody's excited about being a driver, I just happen to have some forms of them tonight.
No pressure, no pressure.
But that's kind of how the program works.
Is there any liability for the drivers?
All the drivers are required, we carry extra insurance. All the drivers are required to have inspected, licensed, and insured vehicles. We check all of that. And then we carry secondary insurance that'll kick in over and above their own insurance, liability insurance.
Okay.
And we have both volunteer, we're pretty well covered.
Yeah.
Good.
And Maine is one of the few states where car insurers cannot charge you additional dividends, or they can't charge higher rates because you are a volunteer driver. So we have that, so our drivers are not penalized because they're providing this service.
And we don't, they are truly volunteers. They get no reimbursement for mileage. They get nothing. There are some programs out there where they do that. They give them mileage, but we don't.
And the pit crew that's in the draft letter that's been included, is that something you've set up?
Yeah.
And that's a program where we can donate monthly. I assume that's online.
Yes.
Right. Once you set it up, it just happens, just like Evergreen Friends. So
We're trying to emulate some other public entities that have set those programs up and been successful. We're a small outfit, but we're doing what we can to raise money and keep people on the road.
So it seems to me if Readfield riders are consuming over 20% of the rides, that Readfield ought to be contributing in a meaningful way in terms of drivers and in terms of monetary support. So we need to do something to build more community support, get some people in the pit crew. Even if you're only giving $5 a month, if you get a bunch of people to do that, that gives you money.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly open to us funding it through the town. I think that's a great idea.
So there were a couple other things I did mention in the kind of that draft letter. First of all, the letter kind of, and I want to thank the Neighbors Driving Neighbors folks for putting a lot of that together to help communicate this, because the communication piece is really important. I think it's good if board members independently want to sign this. I'd love to see folks from the Age Friendly sign it, and also I've identified some municipal staff. I think that the idea is that this would be a letter from the community saying, hey, this is kind of the same discussion we're having here tonight. We've got an issue. We need to work together to help resolve it. And oftentimes with these type of requests, it helps to have people that are recognized in the community and respected to advocate for something like this. And so, no pressure, just because I put your name on there, that was more of a placeholder. I don't feel like you have to, but I'd certainly encourage something like that. And so mailing out a letter like this, using some resources from the age-friendly committee, I think is one of the first steps, because that does communicate and identify those things that need to be done. It helps answer some of those questions perhaps, and if you have any edits or suggestions, I think maybe a few statements about how that program works, to today's questions might be helpful, and we can modify that to kind of include a little bit of that information. And then, information on how to volunteer, but kind of a few different avenues for fundraising included in that letter. But then also the two pieces of a community gathering, which Age Friendly is going to help put together for us. And Jen, I think, is going to maybe help support a little bit. But in any event, we have town staff available to help with that, as well as our volunteers on Age Friendly. And then I do think that having that article on the town meeting warrant for, I think $2,000 is a good amount, because we're twice the size of Fayette, at least. And so I think it's a fair ask, and it's in line with other nonprofits that we support. And it's a good start. And if in the future we have enough resources coming in from the community, we can walk off on it and say, well, we got enough money coming in, we don't need to do that anymore. That would be nice. I think that's the goal of the Neighbors Running Neighbors. They don't necessarily want to be doing this. It's just that we kind of need to do it right now. So all that together is effectively a proposal on how we might try to engage and fundraise. And I guess what I will ask is for just some discussion and a vote on which pieces of this you might support.
So I first of all, thank you, and I support it all, but I think there's a couple of pieces I want to clarify. From a logistics piece is that the select board initiation of putting it on the town meeting warrant, I feel like we had some conversations not too long ago about food bank and stuff, and the process of making sure that you got petitioned for that. And doesn't our policy state that aspect?
So,
and I'm only asking because I want to clarify, because I don't want to have done something 2 years ago that we're not going to do this.
Sure, yeah, so that's an avenue, it's one avenue. By petition, anybody can approach the select board and put a petition forward to do this. However, the select board in this town and every town in the state does have the authority to put something on the warrant, like we've done with municipal projects in the past. And so there is a little bit of nuance there, and I think you're right to kind of look at it.
Yeah, I just think about the food bank and it's 35 signatures.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
I would handle it.
I would just say after I was just thinking based on, I believe you ladies would have no problem getting the signatures to have this appropriately put on the ballot. I would just appreciate if we go down that road. Not that I don't want to support this. I'm just thinking about things that have happened in the recent past that we didn't do it this way. And I would prefer to continue in that route. But in the interim, do this letter, support the Age Friendly Committee to get that mailing done and stuff. But that was just my thinking behind that.
I think if we have a policy, we need to follow it. It's fair when you do that.
Well, so the policy again does allow, I'm not going to belabor it, but
Right.
I just don't want you to cut yourself short.
Yeah, I just think
it does allow you to put something on the warrant at any time. But I think it's a fair ask and an easy ask for us to pull those signatures.
35 signatures.
Isn't it 35?
I think it's closer to 70 or 80.
It's closer to 70. Come to my house first, I'll sign it. Bring it here.
But we've got time for that, and that's part of our normal budget process in any event. So I think it's that piece can be entertained through the budget process. Yeah.
I think based on what you said, it's fair to say that if we got the ask with the signatures, that we would support putting it on the warrant, correct?
Absolutely.
So there you go. So we'll definitely do that. I wouldn't be opposed to us having a motion either tonight or at another opportunity to give a donation this year out of the select board contingency fund, seeing as there are so many people using it from Readfield. And we were the 6th town, and Neighbors Driving Neighbors was reluctant, I think, to take us on because it was an added responsibility to you folks. And our age-friendly committee and others in town begged you, if I recall how this worked,
Yeah.
and you graciously said, yes, we'll do that. And we grew with our requests. And so I think that would be good faith.
Is the fund that way, is it the general assistance fund we have a huge balance into? Would
Can't
that
touch
fall
that.
under that?
We have a balance in the heating assistance fund,
Oh, the
and that would be
heating.
a stretch,
Yeah.
unfortunately, yep.
It was one of those that never really gets used.
Yeah, we had something like 20,000 in there for heating assistance, and it gets pulled about 500 a year, so it's.
So I guess I would ask if the chair and vice chair would consider that with the town manager when you have your planning meeting, putting that on a future agenda for us to consider.
Do you need a
And are we
motion
good with a
to,
letter?
do we need a motion to approve the letter and move forward with age-friendly spending $1,000 on the mailing, or?
That would be appreciated.
I would entertain a motion along those lines.
You want to do it, Rebecca?
Sure. I move that we direct Eric to work with the age-friendly committee to get this letter out to the community, and use the age-friendly funds to do so.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's
And
unanimous.
We will sign it.
And we will sign it.
We will sign it.
If I can make a suggestion, if you do like a brief synopsis to put in that mailing, maybe.
Yeah, I think,
just
Eric.
like how it works, kind of.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. We can squeeze it in.
Excellent. Thank you
Let
for
us know if
coming.
Let us know if you need any other
Yeah.
detailed information.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate everything you've done to help us help ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you all for your support.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you. And as we've told other people, you don't need to stay for our meeting. You're done. You can leave. We won't take offense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you both.
Okay, item 26-022, discuss the Readfield Fairgrounds Community Park project and funding. Eric, that's a separate memo in our packet, is that correct?
It is a separate memo in the packet. I gotta open that up. So I'll just, for the public's benefit, note that this memo was put out this afternoon. We've had a very short turnaround on all of this, all of these changes. We thought we were a week away from approval, and we found out that there was a hang up, and ultimately what happened was the National Park Service, due to changes in federal policy, had said that we were not able to utilize Army National Guard labor as a matching component for this fairgrounds project grant. And so we've been kind of in crisis mode ever since, trying to figure out what to do, how to approach the problem. And so that's continued on into today, and will continue on into the rest of this week, where we're trying to gather information and digest it and present it in a way that makes sense to decision makers like the select board, members of the public, and anybody else that has an interest in this, because it's complicated. And so that memo was put out this afternoon, just to try to summarize what had happened last week and today, as we try to deal with this. So let me open that up.
May I make a comment?
You may.
I know that this whole discussion could be extremely divisive for some folks, not for everyone. And I just want to state that my thoughts are that we said we wouldn't use taxpayer funds. And I don't want to use taxpayer funds unless we ask the taxpayers to use them. I have no problem asking for a special town meeting to, if that's how we end up looking at this, but I'm really steadfast in not appropriating any tax dollars without
Further
getting
discussion.
permission. I just think that's sort of that base we had with that whole group that worked together. So my own thoughts.
Go ahead, Jared.
So I went back and read the warrant questions, the one that was approved and the one that was voted down. and I think it echoes Catherine's sentiments of it's very clear when we asked for local tax dollars, the town voted down. When we said it was going to not be using local tax dollars, it was given a thumbs up. So I think I'm probably in agreement with Catherine on this. I am 100% on board with going to the taxpayers, even if it requires a special town meeting to do so, and let them make this decision. But I don't feel it would be right for us to effectively override the will of the voters on this.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there up front so that maybe we could avoid that piece of the discussion.
Yeah, no, it's good to know, and it's a very important piece of the discussion. And you know, as with anything, there's always little nuances here and there. But I think this is a very difficult situation that we're in. I think everybody's very disappointed by that loss of match, which basically, I'll just kind of summarize a few points in the memo, opened up a very large hole in our funding scenario. Basically, we had $1 million project that was intended to be funded through about $380,000 worth of work from the National Guard and about $500,000 in matching funds from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. In part because we had other funding sources, including the Guard. So 38 out of 50 went away immediately on that match. And so that opened up a hole that is probably minimum 180,000 and could be as big as 380,000, depending on how we approach the project. And there are some different ways that we could approach this. The other consideration here is timing. We have until basically the end of this week to tell the National Park Service whether or not we have found miraculously $180,000. So if anybody has a really big check, I'll again request bring it in, but that's pretty unlikely. And I think that kind of pushes us automatically towards National Park Service funding at the earliest being available for the summer of 2027. And what that means is that if we want to do any work this year, that any dollars we spend, any donations we receive will not be able to be counted towards, or like I should say about that with donations, any dollars we spend for materials won't be eligible for that match going forward. Because the work that is done has to be done after the date of the grant award, which would not be until this time next year with Land and Water. So before I get too far into the weeds on that, I will say that the other piece of this is the National Guard. And we've started to have a relationship with them whereby they were planning on doing a lot of that earthwork this summer. And so they were donating the labor, donating the equipment, and doing a significant amount of earthwork for us. Unfortunately, in order to do that, they need materials. And that's where we're kind of in another catch-22. In order to pay for those materials, we have to come up with roughly $260,000. Those are engineers' numbers, and we're going to be looking at those more closely. But that's a very large amount of money, and it's a large amount of money, to not have a match for. If we spend it. So there's a few different paths we could head down. One would be to try to do the project in part or in whole in 2026 or 2027. But before we get there, I think, and I kind of get the vibe that we need to make a decision about whether or not the board wants to continue to pursue this project. Because the do nothing option is on the table, it's viable. We could say that this is not the right time and we don't want to do this. But I'll just leave that there and ask for maybe some discussion on your level of interest in pursuing this, in one of those two scenarios that I laid out very quickly.
I don't want to talk yet.
So
Steve, do you have a comment? Come on up, Steve. Yeah, public
So
comment.
I'll start and then Steve can pitch in on, at the microphone. I don't think the need for the park has diminished. This started out, it's not a park. What do we call it? The
It's a
fairgrounds project?
Community park.
The community park, okay.
Yeah.
It started out as trying to get a softball field for the girls to play on. And then that morphed into putting it together with the current field that's there so that you have a combined large outfield area that can be used for other sports as well, benefiting a whole lot of people. And I don't see that there's been any decrease in the participation of our youth in activities. And I think dropping this project would be a disservice to all the effort and all the hopes and dreams of the children and their parents. Lots of these parents drive to other towns for their kids to do sports and do activities, and some of them drive to the coast to do those things. And if we had better facilities here, more things would happen here. So I think if you could do the project and get it loaned and seeded, and so there wasn't an adverse environmental impact, I think that might be a really great way to go. If we can get approval from the voters for that $260,000, that gives you a $580,000 project. We ought to be able to get that part of it done with taxpayer approval. And then we can figure out how to do the rest of the project, and maybe that could be done the following year with the LWCF money, getting the match for the donations that we have. I just don't see a reason to kill it without asking the public if they want to support it.
So are you saying to wait until next June and vote on it?
No, I'd have to,
No,
no,
you're
because
making a special town meeting.
right, because if we lose it's taken years to
If
get
we
the
don't
guard
have
to
the
agree to
National
this.
Guard there, the project's dead anyway. So
Right.
if we throw that away, we're all done.
Right, and I don't know that we can put them off after it's taken, I don't know, 6 or 8 years.
They we don't even know when they're gonna be next year. So we got this.
So it's now or never in terms of the guard.
Well, I think we,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Greg.
Come on, I started it, you guys can keep it going.
So, thank you for that, by the way. One of the reasons I'm as passionate about this as I am is because of one person who's not here. Miss Flannery has been doing yeoman's work for this town for almost 15 years. We're talking about every weekend, just about year round, to bring life and activities and you name it to the youth of this community. And this has been her passion project. And I want to thank the folks that have gotten it to this point. And I would say that before we go ask the taxpayers for money, we actually try to raise money, and we can do it fast. I was talking to somebody today and said, what about like a 5K challenge? I'm not talking about a run, I'm talking about $5,000. We have 20 boards and committees in this town. What if we challenge each board to come up with $5,000? Go out and raise money or just donate it. We probably have at least 20 people in this town that could write a check tomorrow for $5,000. So I guess that's my point. If there was something like that, who's in?
Who's gonna ask? That's the key question, right?
Well, what I'm saying is that if something like that happened, I mean, it'd be great if you had somebody that would, match it. I don't have that kind of money.
And I don't think you can
if-
take that open space money off the table. If it comes down to it, it's gonna ruin the whole project.
So if we have 20 boards and committees in this town. Right, 5K challenge. So let's pretend that all 20 of them can, between them, raise $5,000. How much does that add up to? That's $100,000.
Well,
We
we
find
just heard
20
for-
individual donors, there's another $100,000, and there we are.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be, let's try that, and then put some caveats in there. It's got to be done by the end of December,
Right.
not sometime
Gotta
next
make a
year.
decision.
It's got to be done quick. We all know business people. We just need a coordinated fundraising effort. It needs to be led, it needs to be coordinated. There's people that know people. It can be done. There just needs to be a will to do it.
We still
And-
need 260,000. Is that what?
Potentially, yeah, and actually doing it in a phased approach, that money would only really get us to where we need to be for the ball field improvements. All of the other
Finish
amenities,
everything.
basketball court, all that stuff, that's what Catherine was talking about. That would take phase two, and potentially, if we're able to, go proceed with a revised scope LWCF project, that might only add another $60,000 of need, which is a more attainable fundraising goal, I think. But
But you wanted me to address the guard piece. So the guard piece is this. We've sort of already made a commitment to them.
Right.
This is their training site next spring. And if they are a military organization, so I'm sure they have a contingency plan. But for us to go to them right now, and I'm gonna see them on the 26th because they're sending a unit overseas, and just ask them if they have a contingency plan, that's gonna broadcast to them that, what? So I would suggest that there's a serious discussion that happens about this. And we really need to get a core fundraising group that's laser focused on this and people that are really committed to it and are willing to open their checkbooks. Because to be honest with you, I looked at the demographics today. We're the fourth wealthiest town in Kennebec County. So, and based on the work that we've done with the comprehensive plan, we know we have a fair number of people, especially older people, that can barely make ends meet. So to ask them for something like this, I mean, we've had this discussion with the group. This is a nice to have thing. It's not a gotta have thing.
Right.
Any questions for me?
Still looking at who's gonna lead that fundraising group. Is that something that we're gonna have to put onto town staff?
well, so we did discuss that a little bit at the kind of pre-meeting that we tried to sort some of this stuff out with. And I think right now we do have, I'll thank Greg and Hannah both for being willing to be actively engaged with that. I rhetorically, to some extent, said that, we were gonna have to put Jen on part-time for this. I think that there is a role there for town staff, and I'm happy to participate in that myself. I know Jen is, but it has to be within reason. We don't have the capacity to lead that effort. We can support it. So I think that Greg's aware of that. I know Hannah's aware of that. I think that we have a good start. We just need a few more people to really bring that group together. And I'll just say that I think that that's one of the best avenues we have. I don't think that, in my personal opinion, I don't think that's going to be quite enough to get us where we need to be in order to have enough money on hand for the Guard. I really think that it's hard to fundraise, and Greg's very enthusiastic, and I appreciate that. And he might be able to come up with that money, but I think it's a hard sell for me to say, well, the Guard's gonna come, but we might not have enough money. I think it's really important that we do go to the public and say, well, things have changed dramatically. We're not asking for the same amount of money that we did the first time this was voted down. We were asking for like 800,000. We're asking for maybe a quarter of that or a third. That's different. I think we now have more community buy-in because of the results of the work that was done by that Fairgrounds Working Group. Hopefully there isn't infighting between town boards and committees, and hopefully there's universal support for this project. There should be at this point. Those two things are different than they were the first time around. And I just wouldn't want to bet on having the Guard come and doing a bunch of work that is not going to be matched in the land and water conservation piece unless we had some of that buy-in and some maybe town dollars behind it to guarantee that work gets done. So that's my thought on it, at least for next year, for the summer. But
And I agree that their role is to cash checks that get, people bring in. You really can't rely on professional staff to do this. This has to be a passion project for people that are motivated and willing to do the work involved. And besides just, doing the country club thing, it's like, hey, can you scratch out a check for $5,000? Anyhow, thank you.
I think Dave made a valid point. If we can't use the guard piece, we're probably not going to ever do this project. I think that's a very reasonable assumption. So I think the crossroads we're at is maybe this board first needs to say, okay, we want to make sure that it goes through. So now what avenue can we use to get there at that 260? And I know that we've had a letter from someone and we had comments earlier tonight to not use the open space fund. But that money has already been committed and this board has the right to expend it. It might be political suicide to do it or not.
I'll take it.
But if you put it out to the town, for instance, in a special town meeting warrant, we need to raise 260,000. We have 80,000 we can take. It's already set aside, so it's not an increase to your tax burden. So we'd be asking for, what does that make it? 180,000. And if we had some great fundraising that went on and maybe you got 100,000, now you're only asking for 80,000. And the tax burden for that could be explained. I mean, that would be a multi-layered approach. But if we're not willing to say we're going to do this for when the guard is available, then we're done. I mean, is that reasonable?
I don't know that I'd agree with that.
Maybe not.
I think it's plausible to do the project without guard. I think there's some challenges that arise from not having a guard, but I don't think it kills the project.
So I think, I guess to summarize some of the things that I'm hearing, and what I've observed, because I've spent, probably too many hours this afternoon talking about this in my own head, to try to figure out how to present it, because it is a complicated thing. We're basically looking at trading risk for efficiency, right? If we were to try to put off the guard and say, hey, can you do this in 2027? That would be the most efficient way to do this. Then we could bundle the whole thing up nice and neat, find a multitude of funding sources and make it happen. But that's only if the guard comes back in 2027. And that's far from guaranteed. And if they walk off, then we're on the hook for a much larger sum of money. If we split the difference, we could be on the hook for somewhere in the range of around maybe 320,000 total. And that would include the 260 that we would be spending the first time around, this first phase. So there's trade-offs there, and that's why this is such a challenging thing, because we have competing needs, competing interests, competing priorities, and I agree that absolutely voters need to be asked about what to spend. But I do want to agree with Catherine a bit too and say that open space fund, we raised that money without any policy discussion, really. It was there for open space. It was on the ballot. And yes, we knew that we wanted to use it for conservation efforts and things like that. But we're still developing a policy on how that is intended to be used. The closest thing we have right now is our capital reserve policy. And that says that it can be used for capital projects and for land improvements. And I disagree with Bruce a little bit because I think that nobody's really determined what that is. And when you run into matters of ambiguity, I think there's always different paths to take, but you guys are elected, the select board's elected to make decisions, and specifically managing designated funds is one of those. So I don't put any credence into the statements that say that, well, the board can't do that. Well, you can. As Catherine said, would you want to? And I don't think you want to. But I think that it's right to think about it and to look at it and to ask. I think that if there was an article or two on a special town meeting vote in November that said, hey, we want to use this much money from the reserve, we want to borrow this much or pull this much out of the general fund. I included some numbers on borrowing costs in my memo just as a placeholder because I think that's an option. And it's actually a fairly smart option in some ways, but it could be could be tricky. Because we have other priorities coming up that we might need to borrow for. Again, all these things need to be, you know, thought through a little bit more. So one thing I am asking for the board is a little bit more time to kind of fine tune these details to see how much it's actually going to cost for those materials, especially if we're getting maybe a discount or at cost from somebody. You know, there's things we can do in that area that can lower that number and reduce that burden. So I think that the energy is there. I'm hearing it from the board. I'm seeing it from the public. But we just have to be very quick acting in order to do some of this stuff. So I guess I don't have too much else to say on this other than that the idea of doing this, we're basically putting a plank out onto a plank out onto a plank. We have a lot of unknowns. And so I want to buffer this project enough that we can find success. And I think that by having some you know, at least discussion with the public and perhaps a vote and a town meeting, if that goes down, then we know it's pretty much up to fundraising only, and then we have a decision point there. Do we tell the Guard, well, we're going to come up with the money and you're still on, or do we tell them, you know, sorry, but we don't think this is going to go. And if it gets voted down, then that's probably an indication that maybe people aren't that enthusiastic about it. But you know, anyway, I'm starting to go on a little bit, but
So
good project.
Yeah, I think lots of people, geez, I can't even find my words in this one. And that's because most of you know, the only reason I'm sitting here is because I used to be with Hannah all the time. And I used to come to these meetings and talk about how much we needed this project and how important I thought it was, because my daughter played on the worst field there was around and I wanted something good for the girls. I mean, that's why I'm sitting here. It's why I eventually started doing more volunteering in town. And then Eric really roped me in pretty hard. And I think Greg said some great things too, right? I mean, there is important things. I don't think this is a nice thing to have. I think it's something we need. You know, I disagree that it's a nice thing to have this fairgrounds project. I think it's a need. This town needs it. I think there's so much disparity between the sports because being a girl or not. And I don't, why would we be pushing that agenda item either? I also think there's some things that Jerry said that make sense to me about the voters' approval and what was approved on. I don't agree that we can't do a phased approach. This was always going to have a phased approach to it. We weren't going to cut down all the trees all at once or whatever spacing. There was always a phased aspect to this. There was no way it was going to get done in one weekend. So I think, like you said, Eric, there's a huge piece to think about, but I just don't think we can lose any momentum. And I just think that we need to be really creative and think this through. But I don't think it's as simple as not using open space. I don't think it's as simple as we got to get it done. So yeah, lots to it. Elaine, you can go up to the podium.
And we need a deadline, Eric, from you.
Yes.
So while Elaine's in at the podium, what I'd like to do is to work with Greg and others to see how much we can get done in the next 2 to 3 weeks, however long it is till October 6th, and see what we can get done. I need more time to get better numbers, and I think things will be a little bit clearer then. But I'd say that if we're not, we have to make a decision then about what we're going to do, because in order to have a special town meeting in November, we have to basically have about a month's notice. In order to have any chance of borrowing anything from the bond bank, we have to have a number that we need by February that's been approved by voters. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen sequentially for that. We do have some more flexibility around taking out of the undesignated fund. And that could be an option that's voted on, and then maybe we backfill with bonding. There's ways we can do this creatively, but there are a lot of deadlines. The first would be October 6th. So
Elaine Katz, Sturtevant Hill Road. So I, in addition to being on the Age Friendly Committee, have had the pleasure of being on the Fairgrounds Committee from its inception, along with the Open Space Committee. And what I think would be very regrettable is if we see competing projects opposing each other or just not working in conjunction with each other, because these two projects should really complement each other. And I just want to remind people that the fairgrounds is more than a ball field that we created over the, how many years that we have been working on this. So if you are going to take this back to the public to have them vote on it, I would like to see real transparency in terms of where is the money going to come from? Is it going to come from open space? What is that money going to buy? Is it going to buy just a ball field? We had infinite discussions on the importance of a basketball court, many discussions on pollinator gardens and having just open space there. I think it's only fair to be very transparent so that the public knows what they are voting on and where the money is coming from. And that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
But I think it's very important.
Yep, if we change the scope of the project into 2 phases, just clarify what's in each phase. I think that's really what Elaine is saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to move on to item 26-024. Eric will continue. Oh, you do want to talk, Steve? I suppose. Could you state your name? Yeah.
Also from Sturtevant Hill Road. And I have to say that I wasn't planning on saying anything, but when I came to the meeting, one of the things that really interested me was the potential to be able to sit across from Dave again in a meeting and make faces at him like what I was doing as on the select board. So I knew I could do it. I was in the audience and he's up front, but he hasn't even looked at me once because he's so important now. And plus, it's hard to know who is who because Sean Keegan and Dave Linton, what's up with that business? Have you looked at your name tags? Dude?
No, we switched.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, Steve DeAngelis used to sit on this select board. So here's the banter.
Do you have a point about the fairgrounds?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was so about to do. I agree this complicated. I just want to say a couple of things. One is that one thing that has been mentioned tonight that is absolutely a long shot, and I know it, is someone should get a hold of our congressional delegation, and maybe someone like Senator King or Senator Collins could express more than concern about the fact that this policy was changed and change something at the federal level. It's happened before, right? In other districts. And I mean, it's worth a shot with all the other things. It's the longest of shots, I think. But a really quick letter or contact might be worth it. You know, talk to Craig Hickman to see if he can, or maybe one of the Republican leaders in the state Senate to see if they could have contact, or Sean Roger, right? He knows Susan Collins pretty well. So anyway, that's one. The other thing is I do think that the Guard is a necessity if we're going to do anything. I don't think that it's reasonable to expect us to be able to do that without the Guard and come up with that kind of money. I would say that I would really urge you, some of you guys have said this already, but to respect our promise. I was part of the, Jerry Bly and I ran the
working
group for the fairgrounds project, right? And our promise in that committee was that there would be no taxpayer money spent. So I really want to honor that. And if we do send, and you know, the open space money was taxpayer money. It's not new money, but it's still raised by the taxpayers. So I would want to express permission for the taxpayers to do something like that. Sounds like you're thinking along that line. Did I hear you say, Eric, that it's 1 month's notice that we need to put together a vote in the fall? Is that what you said?
Just about, yeah.
About, okay.
Yeah.
So that's where that October 6th-ish number.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's a generalization too, because I mean, with on-floor town meeting, we've already missed, you know, by a half of a month or more, the opportunity to do a secret ballot vote. So again, we're being led down a path that we don't necessarily have control over. So if we want to do a vote like that in November, which would make sense to tie it in with that slightly, you know, you probably get a few hundred people coming out for that anyway. If we want to tie it in with that, then that's our window.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
And I agree that I mean, with Greg, I think it's also a long shot to raise that kind of money that fast, but it's within our control more than, you know, anything else we have. So we should definitely try that. So, and I like that you're taking a little bit more time to not make a decision tonight. Because there's way too many things floating around out there as possibilities. We need our announcement. And I'm glad you guys are doing this, not me.
Well, and as we consider getting other grant funds, just what Neighbors Driving Neighbors has encountered, we are gonna have also. Lots of grant funds have diminished. More people are asking for grants from groups, and we're just going to be one more added to the list. So I think we have to really do this grassroots, like you guys are saying, which involves also the town vote. So, and you know, if you're looking at $24,000 a year as a bond payment for 10 years, that's a much lower impact to people than coming up with even $1,000 check. So I think you're right, Steve, taking a measured approach, and not too measured, but several weeks. Are we all fine with Eric spending quite a bit of time on this? It means something else probably won't get done because
If we have
Eric
to,
already
I can
has a
vouch for
full
that.
job.
Yeah.
We have to be realistic with this, right?
Yeah.
And if we're gonna ask Jen to do more, she has other things that she's working on, and so things have to get stretched out, because it's unfair otherwise to just burden people.
If I could just speak quickly to the transparency part that Elaine brought up, I think this board has been about as transparent as any board has ever been. So rest assured we'll be transparent. But I'll be even more transparent and say that if it comes down to it, the kids are gonna come first for me. So that's what's gonna get done in my book, is what's good for the kids. The rest of the stuff can wait.
Okay, 26-024. Eric?
What's that one
Did
again?
we skip
VOI.
one? I think you skipped the, sorry.
Oh, sorry, we
Transfer
jumped
station.
down, I'm sorry. 26-021, consider the changes to transfer station schedule to include year-round Sunday hours. It's a shame there wasn't another S word in there.
It is, yeah. Well, so you've been talking too much. I can tell. I can tell. You spent too much time at work talking.
You've been talking under my name.
That's how. That's all I am worried about now. But
No, man, you could have gotten away with some stuff.
Some real good stuff.
So the idea of modifying the hours of the transfer station has been in play for quite some time. And as a matter of fact, we actually used to have Sunday hours more than a decade ago, 15 years ago, probably. It's something that's come back for a number of reasons. Interest from staff, interest from the public, and after some discussions, I think that we probably have at least tacit acknowledgement from the labor union that this is something that we probably need to do, or at least consider operationally, which is something that's within the purview of management typically. I'll thank the labor union representatives. I'll thank Karen, all for their willingness to be flexible around this, the maintenance staff as well. In years past, we talked about this, but there was never quite the momentum or unified direction to make this change. And I think that we're there now. I think that we have the buy-in from every group that has a role, and including the public. We've heard maybe one or two people say, well, why would you do that? Most everybody says, well, that's fantastic, or meh, and if we can do something that is indifferent or improves the quality of life for people, I think it's worth it. And this is something that I've been eager to pursue and try for quite some time. So right now we're in a period where we've effectively said, we think we want to do this. We made a management decision, between myself and Karen, to just extend those summer hours for a little bit, give the board an opportunity to weigh in on this and decide if it's something that you think is worth pursuing, because it is a big shift. And so I tried to provide in this memo summary of where we are, what our current schedule is, what our current obligation is on paper to the union, what we're actually working. and some benefits of what a schedule change might be. And so what we're looking at doing effectively is shifting the schedule by a day. So no longer having Tuesday hours, but starting on Wednesday, keeping Thursday as a day for commercial haulers and for work at the facility, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And kind of streamlining those days so that we would have an open to the public schedule of 11 to 6 on Wednesday and Friday, and then 8 to 3 on Saturday and Sunday. And that'll make it a little bit more palatable for everybody, including the staff. I think by having that consistent schedule, easier to remember, it meets their obligations of what they're currently working for hours, but also gives them a little bit more afternoon flexibility on those weekend days, even though they're going to be there on that Sunday. And of course, the obvious benefit I think here is that working people that don't have the ability necessarily to come between 4 and 6 during the weekday can have an extra weekend day to do their thing. And I think that's going to benefit everybody. It'll benefit the residents because it'll be less congested on Saturdays. It'll benefit the staff because they won't be running around in circles trying to get everything done all at once. And even that half day on Sunday is starting to get quite busy. So I just see this as a really important and necessary change. I think it brings us more in line with other transfer station facilities. Even though we'll still have more hours than most towns our size, we'll be on track and have those weekend hours that I think matter more than some of the weekday pieces. So I really said everything there is to say, except for the fact that the intent here would be to continue on with this kind of summer schedule through the end or through the October 15th, and then switch over fully to a trial period that would run full revised schedule through the end of December while we negotiate with the labor union on general terms. But I think that it'll be a pretty well supported change. So what I'm looking from the board is any discussion, questions, or feedback, and then hopefully a vote to support this change in schedule. And that's what I've got. And if you want to talk to Karen, I'm sure she's happy to come up too. So
She already left.
I'm sure he left. Well,
Yeah.
shoot.
Anybody have any comments?
So the solid waste committee talked about this and they were all supportive. We were tremendously supportive of having the staff have 2 days off in a row.
All year round?
All year round, because most people enjoy having a weekend wherever that weekend falls, because lots of people work shifts that are not Monday through Friday. There was just no opposition, and in discussions with Karen, we've talked about that Tuesday is a much busier day than Wednesday. And probably the reason for that is because they're not open on Sunday or Monday. So you've had 2 closed days, so the next day is your busy day. So if the closed days are Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday will be your busy day.
Yeah.
And then Thursday won't matter because it's still commercial haulers. And I think the 8 to 3 is awesome. I fully support this.
Same.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed transfer station hours as scheduled with the trial periods going forward.
Second. I have motion a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you for that. 26024, consider quotes and a proposal for VoIP services. I didn't see that in the packet.
That's tabled. I got, competing priorities.
Okay.
Right.
26025, consider an update to the employee length of service award schedule. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so another memo, I tried to use my time to put information out here in advance and give facts ahead of time. But basically, this has been in place. We've had a recognition program in place since 2010. I think Catherine was involved with the first iteration of this, and thank you for doing that because it is something that the employees appreciate and look forward to. But it also hasn't been updated since then in any meaningful way. So what I'm looking at is trying to update that schedule based on inflation plus some nuanced changes. make a little bit more sense as a scale for benefit, and also extend beyond 20 years. As you know, Teresa's now at 25, and I really appreciate that. Just for example, the next time we're going to have an employee who may make it that long is in 15 years.
And that would be you.
And Kristen. So I just think that it's an important thing to do to update this periodically. I think we're past due for an update, and I have a recommended schedule showing both how this is falling and what the cost would be for changing this schedule over.
And sorry, when I looked at this earlier, has Angelica only been here since 2022, or was it when she became full-time? Is that what that change is?
No, she started in 2022.
Really?
Yeah.
And I did start this program. I set it up and started it and came up with the ideas, and it at first there were some employees who didn't want to take anything for a gift. And basically those people then ended up leaving for other reasons. And now everyone who gets something is appreciative and happy and feels more appreciated. So I think it's awesome. I would make a motion to accept the updated employee recognition, employee length of service awards as presented.
Second, I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
I almost want it to be more, especially for like 25 years. That's just unheard of. In today's world, might have been something 25 years ago. Doesn't happen anymore.
I agree with you, especially on the 30-year, but we can come back to that.
Yeah,
If someone makes it to 30, we could have a special discussion about what to give.
Lifetime bonus.
3 weeks vacation.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Right.
It's not that we're not interested, but it is 8:37.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean,
We're on schedule.
we're on
ahead of
schedule, yeah. It's impressive.
Well,
Yeah, I didn't do
we're
anything
right
on the
on it.
next thing, so.
Review of comprehensive plan updates 26/026.
Can we look at this at our next meeting?
Is there anything we need to look at? Is
Well,
there-
that's
I
what
mean,
I
we
was
just
wondering.
put
We
in,
just
like,
had to.
Does anybody have any?
Well, I said that I would read through it and tell you if there
Okay.
were things that we had actually talked about and I didn't. So I'm willing to do that if we look at it then.
That's fine. Okay, 26/027, review the quarterly meeting calendar, October through December, and to set dates for the annual chairs meeting.
So, yeah, you've seen this before. This is our annual calendar. We have all the dates marked out there. There's always uncertainty further on, but basically things are pretty well clear, October, November, December. We've done everything we can. We have all the budget dates in there. We try to keep things light in December. In the past, what we have done, we've done two different things in the past with the chairs meeting. One is we've had a special event, sometime during the month, usually on a Monday evening, invited people in for an hour, hour and a half, had snacks and lemonade and whatever else, and talked to the chairs about, what they're doing, and then feedback, and back and just two-way communication, really. And that's been valuable. In last year, we tried something different, and we did a 1-hour session during a regular select board meeting.
And it was not an hour.
And it was not an hour. It was 45 minutes or something. And I think it was.
long. I
What's
think it
that?
went long.
You think it did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it was scheduled for 45 minutes.
And it went long.
Well, we didn't have very good attendance for the chairs because we notified them really too late, I think. And if we really, I think if we really want them to come and participate, if we want them to hear a particular message and we want to hear anything from them, they need a month's notice.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since we've had a message we've wanted to deliver. Like the last 2 years, I don't think we've had a message we've tried to drive home. I think we really drove home the minutes, and we are finally getting those, which is awesome.
I think our only message has been keep your budget reasonable.
We talked about the change in our structure, right? But there was nothing, I don't feel like we've had there's not been an off-kiltered board chair, or I don't know, I just feel like we've been
Yeah.
status quo.
So I guess the question I have for the board is, are you interested in putting this on the November 3rd or 17th meeting as a 1-hour session? Or would you think that we need more time to fully explore the things that we're going to be talking about?
I will not be here on November 3rd. So let's do it that night.
Are we gonna be making a fairgrounds decision on the sixth?
I would, of October, yeah, I'd say so. I'd say we, at least the initial one. I mean, all these decisions are gonna be branching, right? One thing leads to the next, and so we'll be making a branching decision on the 6th.
Well,
Yes.
because I had already notified you that I can't be here on the sixth. I could be here on the sixth, but then not on the 20th.
Oh, well, so I mean, I think that
I'm
last
back in
year,
October, so I'm talking about that because then that affects November. If you can't be here on the 3rd, I wasn't planning on being here on the 3rd.
how about the
Do we need a
17th?
meeting on the 3rd if two of us already can't be here?
We're gonna have our open space plan presented in November.
So could that be on the 17th?
It could, but if we're gonna be discussing chairs and the fairgrounds, that seems like a long agenda.
So what,
Can we do the chairs in December?
we could, I was gonna suggest that not, the entire board doesn't necessarily have to be present for the chairs meeting, and it might be actually an efficient use of time to maybe drop that 3rd as a regular meeting and then put the chairs meeting there, just as a suggestion.
As long as Dave chairs the chairs meeting.
I'm fine with it.
You sure?
I guess.
Who else
Yeah,
can be?
tell me what you want in there.
November 3rd?
Yeah. I will endeavor not to be sick this year.
Yeah.
Okay,
But you won't
actually,
be there though on
wait a
3rd,
minute.
right? You say November 3rd, you won't be there.
No, I'm in San Diego.
But that's just
that's a
one
Monday,
option,
I'll be there.
so,
I think that's a workable option, it sounds like. So do the chairs meeting on the 3rd, and that's all you're gonna, the chairs meeting and the open space? Or not?
I think we want the whole board with open.
So we
space.
could do open space on the 17th?
I think if we can just do the chair meeting on the 3rd works
Yeah,
perfectly
and
fine.
then just nothing else on that.
Yeah, just do
Yeah.
a chair
So it's,
meeting.
that's more of a workshop?
Yeah.
The
Wh-
chairs
which?
meeting.
Oh, yeah, so the chairs meeting would be a workshop, and if you remember what we've done in the past, it's been, we ask for a brief report out. I used to say 5 minutes, I'm gonna say like 2, because then they'll still go
Then you'll get
long.
5.5.
Yeah, then we'll get 5.5. 2-minute report out about, from each committee about what they're doing, what their priorities are, what their needs are, right? Boom, boom, boom. And then have just an open discussion about town priorities. We'll have certainly a discussion about technology and all the new Gmail and workspace
Yep.
accounts.
So I really can't be sick is what
You
you're
can't
saying.
be sick,
Right.
man. You're gonna be,
That's your job, Jared. You have to be.
But, we can talk more about this tomorrow, Sean and Dave, but I think that we may want to do a little bit of light business just to get it out of the way, like, but, I mean, for example, I won't have my treasurer's report by then because there's no way we could have it ready.
On the first day
On
of
the
the month?
first, yeah, exactly. So, it actually fits kind of well, I think, to do that way.
So workshop on the 3rd,
On the
meeting
3rd.
on the 17th.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And then I'll be here on the 6th. I'll send you an email.
And I know you had talked about it. I don't know if you want to schedule it or not, but, is there a time that you wanted to do a cemetery tour, or is that something that you are gonna
Want to do it in the
come,
spring?
come back with?
I think in the spring, and I liked what we had talked about with Andy Tolman about getting some pictures of the other cemeteries. We could visit 1 or 2 and then have some photos of the others that we could caption and Karen could expand on. Or the
Okay,
whole thing
so-
could just be photos.
So I think that the November 4th will also be our town meeting vote, if we have a special town meeting.
Really?
So I wanted to mention that, because that's when the election is, or the voting for state, the state, I want to say warrant, but that's not the right word.
Elections.
State elections, it's a referendum questions. is what it
So if
is.
we were thinking of doing a special on the floor meeting, would you do it that same day
I would recommend that, yeah, we. I have
Because
to
you've
talk
already
to-
got staff in the building.
And we've already got people there and we could, I'll talk to Kristen about it. We might be able to just open up the meeting and let it run and let people do voting, paper ballots throughout the day. Or we could try to just say, we're gonna have our special town meeting, specifically this one piece, from 6 to 7 or something like that at night. And then just say, if you want to absentee vote, fine, but if we're gonna do a hand vote during that time.
On this particular set of things.
Yep, and that way we can kind of bring everybody together.
Could we do just a separate, like, paper vote like we used to?
I'll have to look at that. I'm not sure we can do
Time frame wise?
that, yeah, because of the whole, just the way we have that Australian ballot process that kind of modifies things. We basically would have to give that opportunity for absentee voting and all of that. And that gets to be more complicated than I think I want to deal with.
So instead of
Um,
raising your hand though, can't you just write on a slip of paper, yes or no?
Yeah, I think that we could.
Is that what you were getting at?
No, I was
Yeah.
thinking on the day that,
The
on
day of.
election day,
Oh.
where you're gonna have people there anyway.
Right.
Would probably be the biggest draw of people,
Yeah.
and just have a separate paper ballot.
Can you do it?
So
you can
yes,
do
I
a
think we can do that,
You
Dave,
can
and
do
that's
like one
actually
like the
a
school,
great idea.
like the school board one, right? The school vote.
Yeah.
Like a
Exactly,
piece of-
yeah,
It
yeah.
has to be hand counted.
Yeah.
It's just a yes or a no.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I gotta confirm with Kristen because she, we're,
Might be the way to
Yeah.
get the most people to vote.
I agree,
Right.
yeah. But it would have to be that day. It would have to be on floor. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be something you could send in beforehand. And that's
Get all your parents
a
there.
bit of a nuisance, but I think we could make it work. Yeah.
So then you wouldn't have a discussion part like from 6 to 7. It would just be a paper thing.
We possibly could, we could do either. I mean,
Okay.
but again.
Well, we
I
can
think
talk
that-
about
We
it.
could set
Yeah.
something up prior to that. I don't know what to do, but somewhere prior to that, informational section, like we do prior to any
Sure.
town meeting, we could
Well, you
hold a special meeting for informational.
We could put it on the radio and on our TV station.
We could, but I think you're absolutely right about that, Dave, is that in the education piece and, I don't want to use the word transparency because I think that can be misapplied, but education, public education, communication, call it that,
This is why we're voting on this. This is what we're voting on.
Yeah.
You get to make the choice of how we head.
Yeah, so I think that that's a wise thing to do. So what I'll do is I'll work on trying to get that sorted out with Kristen for November 4th to see what we can do that date. Well, we're gonna have to get pretty active on planning that and planning the information session that you're talking about, Dave, but that could happen in late October.
Think
Maybe the
that's
last week.
necessary, or is that required?
It's not necessary. It is.
Might be a good idea to
it's-
do.
Yeah, well, I guess I should say that,
It's not required.
I think it may be required to do one within a certain time frame before the vote. I'll have to look at it again.
If you're having an on-the-floor town meeting,
Yeah, I've got to get back into that.
it's been a long time since we've done this.
It's been a
so-
really long time, and again, I
A
just told
decade.
Kristen today that this is a possibility,
before.
so.
But we've had special meetings for.
She's already thinking about it.
She's already thinking about it, yeah.
We had first-
We had one at Kent's Hill School a year ago.
That was for the subdivision or the solar farm special overlay district thing that we had. to do.
Right, the overlay district,
Um,
right.
So I think,
That's right.
yes, with that one, we did have to have a public hearing.
But that was
with-
because
yeah,
it was an
prior.
ordinance.
Yeah, so I'll have to get into this and make sure I know all the facts. but This is one of those things I'll be digging into.
This is one of those things that will take up Eric's morning.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, Eric.
No, I mean, I'm sorry that we lost the funding. It's such a disappointment and it puts us in such a tough spot.
And then we're
Um,
doing the joint select board meeting, since we're doing the quarter on the 17th. It's a Wednesday of December, and that's the CIP discussion. Is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
Okay.
Already on the schedule, or did we change?
No, that's all right.
No, that's on there.
That's
I'm
from-
just
yeah.
checking that we're all still on with that.
Yep.
Somebody will be texting.
And hopefully December will be a nice quiet month. We'll see.
So,
All right, so that was all I had on calendar.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yeah,
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Dave.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, Sean.